So yesterday, if you watched Summer Games Fest, you might have come away a little bit disappointed with the lack of info. I think some of us were maybe waiting for some gameplay on Batman, which was rumoured to be happening, but instead we got a CGI trailer. It is still a very cool trailer, and there was no info about aliens. But if you kind of hung around afterwards and looked around on the internet, there is some interviews up there now. I really do like Android Central's one. We're going to go through that in a minute for Batman. But first of all, I wanted to cover Aliens Rogue Incursion, because IGN dropped an interview which, I mean, the views are so low on it, which is such a shame, but there's quite a lot of bullet points that I captured in a tweet that I made, and I wanted to share it with you today, because most of it does sound very good, but there is one bit that kind of has me worried. So what we learned yesterday from the Vive interview was that xenomorphs will use a dynamic spawning system that reacts to your actions, like sounds, for example. Say, apparently the world is full of interactable objects. If you knock something over like a cup, the aliens are going to come after you. So basically, you are being hunted. What I really hope doesn't happen in dynamic spawning systems is they appear from nowhere. Like, I'm sure Vive are making a very high quality title here, and that will not be the case. But it's really good to know, as we go through this list, this game looks like a full-on action game. When it comes to what weapons we're expected to see because of the timeline of the game, I think we're going to get the classics. You know, we're going to get the flamethrower. Obviously now we've seen the pulse rifle as well. There's a really cool screenshot that was added yesterday. It looks very cool. And the xenomorphs are going to be fast and intelligent, and they're going to be hard to kill. They attack from all angles. They will be walking on the ceiling, coming out of the floor, which is exactly what you expect. And as I said earlier, the world is full of interactable objects, so you're going to have to be opening doors, opening drawers, things like that, maybe to gain items that you need to survive. Now, the bit that got me worried about this whole interview, because I wasn't worried at all, I was actually really pleased until I got to this bit. The Alien Rogue Incursion is being designed in a way that people can enjoy in short bursts, and the world is being designed to accommodate that style of play. Now, as a hardcore VR person, I can spend 6 to 10 hours in VR and not need a break. So I don't know how that's going to affect gameplay. I don't know whether this means that there's like save points that urge you to maybe have a break. I don't know, you know, but knowing that they're trying to cater for new people, which is good, you know, they're really hoping that this is the game that brings a lot of new people into VR, as am I. You know, these are big franchises. A lot of people out there who slammed VR for so long are excited about an Aliens VR game, a proper one. It's the first one, you know. A lot of us have played Alien Isolation, which is amazing in VR. But yeah, so I get it. I do get it. And Vive have said their main focus is fear, tension, and anxiety, and being attacked en masse by xenomorphs. This is music to my ears. This is what I want from an Aliens game. I made a video recently on Aliens Fireteam using UEVR, and it is really good, but to be honest, it doesn't necessarily feel like a true VR game, you know. And I think most mods don't feel like a true VR game. They might look like a VR game, but they don't feel like one. So yeah, there's a lot of responsibility for these guys on this game, and listening to that interview, I think they understand that. In terms of replayability, he states, if you played the same level 5 times, as an example, it will be different every single time, and that's mainly due to the alien count. As far as I can tell, there's a focus on AI. Depending on what you do, depends on how they react. I mean, that's good news, isn't it? That means it increases replayability for all different players, and when you talk to friends about playing the game, they might have had a very different experience to you. Now, going over to Batman Arkham Shadow, lots of information has now dropped, and I guess when I read some of it, it kind of made sense, but some gameplay images came up, and I grabbed them and I put them up. And the one thing about Batman that I loved the most was the combat. And I kind of wondered, how would that work in VR? Now, looking at this screenshot and from what I've read, it looks like the combo system is going to be in VR. And when I see this screenshot and I see the 1 and the 2, I imagine that's going to be how you enter the flow state, which is what they called it. And I love this, and I love the fact that you can use a smoke grenade or you can use a batarang to be able to keep the flow state going, very similar to Arkham games. So yeah, it looks like you'll be punching like 1, 2, 3, then another few numbers will come up, then that enemy's down, and then you're going to maybe have a timer to move on to the next guy. Without playing it, I don't know how it's going to work, but actually I like this idea. And I need to know what you guys think of it in the comments, but I believe if you add something similar to like a rhythm game to this without ever actually making it a rhythm game, you know, there is no music to fight to, you are fighting to build up your combos, I think it's actually a really good idea. As we said before about when the game is set, it's between Arkham Origins and Batman Arkham Asylum. And as I said previously, you'll come across characters like the Scarecrow, Harley Quinn, and more. Now, going over to the next screenshot, another thing I really like is the fact that it looks like it flips to third person. I think third person in VR works fantastically well, especially in platformers, but I really do feel, and especially with using mods, third person isn't something we should be getting away from. And I think looking at this particular screenshot, I think this is actually starting to shape up like a true Arkham game and a true Batman game, and it's got me even more excited. And basically, they do mention that you'll be perching on a vantage point. You can string the enemies up, which is pretty awesome. Throw a batarang to keep the combo going, which is what I just spoke about. Scour crime scenes for clues, solve puzzles, uncover hidden collectibles, explore iconic locations such as Monarch Theatre and Bowery from an all new perspective. Now, we flip over to Android Central's interview. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we actually have another screenshot which looks really awesome, and I will leave a link to this interview in the video description because I do want you to go through it fully. I'm just going through the bits that I think are really important. Going over to the story, it mentions in Arkham Shadow, the city is being overrun with rats who carry a pestilence that drives people insane, causing them to wreak havoc in ways they might never normally consider. This particular ploy is a bit different from the rat catcher's normal poisonous gases, and that's because he's not the one in charge. Rather, the Rat King is pulling the strings behind the scenes, creating a world that challenges Batman's ethos as a superhero. Because Batman isn't about killing, we all know that. So basically what it's trying to tell you is there's going to be normal citizens who are going to be under the effect of this gas or this poison, and Batman's got to basically, I guess, knock them all out instead of killing them. As we also found out in the new trailer, the voice of Batman is Roger Craig Smith, which I'm so pleased to find out about. It means it's authentic. Now, this is a really cool part of the interview, talking about basically VR sickness and locomotion, and a lot of us get a bit worried about games we love being kind of simplified or made safe, and it kind of ruins the experience, which is something I touched on in my Behemoth VR video. When I spoke to the developers, they were like, no, this game's going to be full on. So over to Batman. Arkham Shadow is more friendly for a wider breadth of users, but we also don't have teleportation locomotion options, in part because it would break the combat paradigm. We need players who will stay in place for slow-mo combat, but we've learned so much about comfort in VR, not just as camouflage, the organisation, but as an industry in a whole. Players shouldn't need to worry about how it's going to feel to grab Batman's cape and glide down to the street levels to fight the thugs. That means we're going to be flying as Batman. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to use the hook shot. I can't wait to fly around the city. And honestly, I'm just very excited for this. You know, as I said, go and check out the full interview, but it's all sounding very good. Aliens does have me a little bit worried, but I've now got even more faith in camouflage with Batman. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.